All right, so apparently Jon Jones, the greatest of all time, the UFC heavyweight champion of the world, if he's going to face Tom Aspinall, the interim champion of the world, then he needs 6 months to prepare for it once the deal is done. That is, of course, according to Ariel Helwani. Jon Jones didn't say that. He didn't get on Instagram and say it. He wasn't on a live, which he does like to do here and there. No, this is according to Ariel Helwani. Now, we know he's got contacts. Maybe he spoke to Jones. Maybe it was his manager. Maybe it was a coach. Maybe it was his sister's brother's cousin that he bumped into when he was getting coffee one day.
Fancy seeing you here.
Is it? Or maybe you calendar stalked me and you knew exactly where I was going to be.
But apparently, he wants 6 months. He says the clock is ticking on a summer showdown. I was told that Jones wants 6 months to prepare for the fight once it's locked in. And what's 6 months from now? September? Now I'm sure money talks, but it feels like the summer. If that's the goal, then that is starting to slip away. Now, far be it from Ariel Helwani to put anything negative out there when it comes to the UFC. He would never dream of doing that, of course. But let's just take this on face value. Now, this fight has been rumoured or talked about or dreamed of for quite some time. Tom Aspinall's rise through the UFC rankings was absolutely phenomenal. He steps up on short notice. You know the history. Knocks out Sergey Pavlovich when Stipe got injured, and the mega fight between Jones and Stipe was delayed. Tom becomes the champ, defends it again when he knocked out Curtis Blades in just 60 seconds, and he's been calling out Jon Jones ever since.
Hello, John.
Ever since November, he's been posting the duck emojis. He's been talking a little bit of shit. He's been having a bit of fun with it along the way. He's been stalking him a little bit, going to appearances, putting his hands on the shoulder. Jones wanted absolutely none of that. The thirst, the appetite, the desire from all the fight fans all over the world is 100% absolutely there. That is why everyone says this is going to be the biggest heavyweight fight of all time. Dana White says that it's locked in, and I'm sure that it is.
Listen, Jon Jones definitely wants to fight. Just when and where is what we're working on now.
We know that Tom Aspinall's wanted it for quite some time. Jon Jones hasn't come out and flatly denied it, even though he did say that Tom kind of annoys him and he bothers him and he's a little bit immature, right? This fight needs to happen. And if he's saying that he wants 6 months, then I don't quite get it. I don't quite understand. Why do you need 6 months? Jon Jones is 37 years old. If we take this at face value, 37 years old. He's coming maybe towards the end of his career. Now, as heavyweights, you can go on as long as 45, 46. Randy Couture, I think, was 46 when he came back out of retirement and reclaimed the heavyweight strap against Tim Sylvia. But Jon Jones doesn't want to do that. He wants to go off and do other things with his life. He wants to go off and become an actor, and he wants to have maybe a couple more fights and then go off into the sunshine on the back of an absolutely glittering career. Unbelievable stuff. But he's got to fight Tom Aspinall. That's just a fact. And if he wants 6 months, I don't understand that. Because training camps don't take 6 months. Typically, a training camp is 2 months long. Or sometimes people do a pre-camp. Now, a pre-camp usually is when a fighter's let themselves get really out of shape.
Boy, are you fat.
What'd you say?
So they do like a 4-week pre-camp to shed a few pounds, to get back in the gym, to get moving again, blow the rust off and feeling good, and then they start camp. 6 months is a very long time. Half a year. You don't need 6 months, okay? There's not a lot going to change. At 37 years old, with Jon Jones having one of the greatest careers that we've ever seen, essentially undefeated, beating all these different styles along the way, multiple generations of contenders, beating a lot of former champions along the way, beating them at their own style as well. You can't criticize Jon Jones' career. Maybe there's some stuff outside of the octagon, but that's not what we're talking about here today. And if you're a perfect human being and you've never made a mistake, then go ahead. Cast your first stone. I'm not sticking up for anybody. I'm not defending anybody. I'm just saying we're not talking about that. We're talking about what he's done inside the octagon, which is nothing short of sensational. On the flip side, so is what Tom Aspinall's done. That's why we all want to see this fight. So 6 months, that is just massively overtraining. And also, if you're going to be training hard for 6 months, if you're trying to come up with a game plan, if you're bringing in big, strong, aggressive, hard-hitting training partners that are true heavyweights, there's a real chance that you're going to get injured if you're pushing yourself that hard for that long. Now, of course, it wouldn't be a training camp for 6 months like we typically might do over 2 months. That just wouldn't be sustainable, okay? You will get injured. You will get broken down. You will overtrain. but he wants 6 months to strategize, to bring in training partners, maybe to work on heel hooks. Because Gordon Ryan came out and said that he saw one of Tom Aspinall's fights where he lost by a heel hook, and it wasn't even a very good heel hook. Now, I don't think that Jon Jones' big plan is that to do 6 months of leg lock work so that he can drop and do a bloody Imanari roll and try and get Tom Aspinall in a leg lock. No, I don't think that's the case at all. And over 6 months, you might improve a little bit. You might get sharper, bigger, stronger, just like you do in a training camp. Your reflexes might get locked in. You might get hungry. You might get ready for it. But ultimately, it isn't going to matter. It isn't going to change. Jon Jones is one of the greatest fighters that we've ever seen. That's just a fact. And apparently, according to him, a lot of the time he was out there, he was partying at the same time. He even said that he beat Daniel Cormier whilst he was taking cocaine, okay? His words, not mine. That is because the man is a sensational, once-in-a-generation kind of talent, okay? The fact that you can just show up, right, without really pushing yourself and beat these people in the fashion that he's done, okay? But the fact that he's saying that he needs 6 months, if he did indeed say that, is a little bit alarming. The fight needs to be announced sometime soon. Jon Jones beat Stipe in November. That was about 4 months ago. Another 6 months, that is 10 months. The fight needs to be announced soon. Otherwise, the UFC are maybe going to talk about stripping this guy. If it was in the boxing world, if you've got a champion and then there's an interim champion, the first thing they do is match them up. And yeah, the champion might say, I need a little bit of time. I injured myself. I tweaked my shoulder or whatever the case, right? I need a bit of time. Okay, they'll say, all right, take a bit of time, recover. But this fight is being made and we haven't seen that happen yet. We haven't seen an announcement. I would have guessed International Fight Week in Las Vegas. If it's going to go all the way to September, which is still technically summer, and it isn't that long away when it's all said and done. And certainly when you start to get to my age, the months fly by. I can't believe that we're almost in April. 6 months isn't too long. But if a date isn't announced soon, if contracts aren't signed on that dotted line, if an announcement isn't made sometime soon, then there's something going on. And potentially, Jon Jones would need to be stripped. And that would affect his legacy. As I said, inside the octagon, the man almost has no comparison. And that's just a fact. Talk all the shit you want, right? Talk about Pereira, talk about Islam Makhachev, talk about Khabib, talk about George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva. There's been a lot of great fighters, but most of them haven't stepped foot in an octagon for years. Jones is still doing it, okay? So what he's achieved is phenomenal. So it would absolutely affect his legacy. And some people out there might say, well, he doesn't need to fight Tom Aspinall. He's proven it. Well, he does, because he's currently the champion. Unless you relinquish the belt, he has the right to do that. But the reality is, if he's worried about Tom Aspinall, then that's a real problem. Because as fighters, we don't know we're going to win. Every time you step into a cage, it's like, shit, this guy's good. He's big, he's strong, he's aggressive, he's knocked out a bunch of people. I didn't always know that I was going to win. There was some fights that I went into that I'm like, I've got this one. I know it. I just know it. There was a lot of fights where I went in, I was like, holy shit, this guy's good, but I'm going to work my ass off and I'm going to give it my best shot. Do you know what that's called? That's called being a fighter. That's called not being a coward. That's called not manufacturing the situation to suit you 100%. You've got to take chances. There will always be the next person. There'll be another Jon Jones. There'll be another Tom Aspinall. There'll be another Anderson Silva in the form of Israel Adesanya. There'll be another Khabib Nurmagomedov in the form of Islam Makhachev. There's always going to be the next guy, the next generation, and people are always going to continue to improve in this sport. But if Jon Jones is the champion of the world and he's proud of that and he's willing to defend that, then this fight needs to happen. It needs to get announced soon. And whether or not that's in 6 months, 4 months, 3 months, who cares? An announcement has to happen sometime soon. What do you think about this situation? Subscribe and ring the bell. Leave a comment down there and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. See you soon.